The massive Imperial flagship, Glory of Empire, emerged from hyperspace near Jupiter's orbit, its dark metal hull reflecting the distant sunlight. Behind it, 50 smaller warships formed a perfect attack formation. Admiral James Reed watched the alien fleet's arrival through the main viewport of Earth's hidden orbital command station. "They're earlier than we expected," he said, his weathered face remaining calm despite the tension in the room. The command staff worked quietly at their stations, decades of training evident in their focused demeanor. The first transmission from the Imperial fleet came exactly as their intelligence had predicted. A towering figure appeared on the main screen, his uniform decorated with symbols of conquest from 1,000 worlds. "I am Lord Drake of the Eternal Galactic Empire," the alien commander announced, his translator converting his words to perfect English. "Your species has been chosen to join our glorious empire. Surrender your world and receive our generous terms." Admiral Reed straightened his simple blue uniform and activated the response channel. "This is Admiral James Reed of Earth's United Defense Force. We welcome peaceful contact, but reject any terms of surrender. We suggest you reconsider your approach." Lord Drake's expression shifted to one of amusement. "Peaceful contact? Look at your primitive vessels. We detect only basic chemical rockets and simple orbital stations. What makes you think you have any choice in this matter?" What Lord Drake saw was exactly what humans wanted him to see. For decades, Earth had maintained a carefully crafted illusion of technological limitation. Every satellite, every space station visible to outside observers was deliberately designed to appear primitive. "Last warning, Lord Drake," Reed said calmly. "Leave Earth's space immediately. We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend ourselves if necessary." The Imperial commander burst into laughter. "Defend yourselves? With what? Those pathetic chemical rockets? Very well. Let me demonstrate the power you face." He turned to his crew. "Launch a single hunter-killer drone. Target their largest visible station. Let's show these primitives their place." The drone, a sleek predator of metal and energy, streaked toward one of Earth's apparent defense stations. Admiral Reed watched it approach, making no move to evade or respond. The drone was moments from impact when a seemingly invisible force sliced it in half. Lord Drake's laughter stopped. "What was that?" "Report. Unknown weapon signature, my lord," his tactical officer responded, confusion evident in his voice. "The drone was destroyed by... We can't determine the weapon type." "Impossible," Drake snarled. "Launch a full squadron. Destroy everything in orbit." 10 more drones accelerated toward Earth. This time, humanity's response was more visible. Small points of light winked into existence around the planet. Each drone disappeared in a flash of energy, reduced to atoms by weapons far beyond Imperial understanding. "Final warning," Reed transmitted. "Your drones have been eliminated. Leave now or face the consequences of your actions." Drake's face contorted with rage. No primitive species dares to threaten the Empire. "Battle fleet, move into attack formation. We'll take this world by force." Admiral Reed sighed and pressed a button on his command console. "All units, execute Protocol Omega. Show them what humanity can really do." Around the Earth, the illusion of primitive technology melted away. Quantum shields shimmed into visibility, covering the entire planet in a protective barrier. Hidden defense platforms emerged from dimensional pockets, their weapons already charged. And from behind the moon, humanity's real fleet appeared, sleek, advanced vessels that made the Imperial ships look ancient in comparison. "By the eternal void," Drake whispered, his arrogance replaced by dawning horror. "What are you people?" "We are humans," Reed replied simply. "And we warned you to run." The battle that followed lasted less than 10 minutes. The mighty Imperial fleet found itself outmaneuvered, outgunned, and completely overwhelmed by technology they couldn't even understand. A single scout ship managed to escape, carrying with it a message that would shake the Empire to its core. They had finally found an enemy they couldn't defeat. As the debris of Imperial ships drifted through space, Admiral Reed looked at his command staff. "Send word to Earth Defense Command. Tell them the war we've prepared for has finally begun." The United Nations Security Council chamber was packed. Representatives from every nation sat in tense silence as General Thomas Mason walked to the podium. Behind him, a large screen showed the debris field where the Imperial fleet had met its fate just hours ago. "Ladies and gentlemen," Mason began, his deep voice carrying across the room, "what happened today was just the beginning. Our hidden defenses worked perfectly, but the Empire will return. And next time, they'll bring their full force." The room erupted in worried whispers. The Russian representative stood up first. "How many ships can they bring against us?" "Intelligence suggests their main fleet consists of over 10,000 warships," Mason replied. He pressed a button, and the screen showed a map of nearby star systems. "But we've been preparing for this moment for 50 years. The general's next words silenced every whisper in the room. "It's time to reveal Project Guardian." The screen changed to show massive structures hidden throughout the solar system. Underground bases on Mars, weapon platforms inside asteroids, and shipyards concealed within the moons of Jupiter. Humanity's real military power had been carefully hidden from both its own population and any watching eyes. "We have 5,000 quantum-shifted battleships ready for combat," Mason continued. "Each one is more advanced than anything the Empire has. Our combat systems are generations ahead of their targeting computers. And most importantly, we have weapons they've never seen before." The Chinese representative leaned forward. "But General, fighting the entire Empire, even with our technology, those are terrible odds." Mason smiled. "That's why we're not going to fight fair." He brought up another image, a complex network of quantum gates spreading out from Earth. "While they think we're just defending our world, we'll be attacking their supply lines, their shipyards, and their command centers. Every single one of our ships can outfight 10 of theirs." In orbit, Admiral Reed was recording humanity's official warning to the Empire. His message would be carried by automated probes to every Imperial world. "To the Galactic Empire, your attack on Earth was an act of war against humanity. We gave you a chance to leave peacefully. We warned you of the consequences. You chose not to listen." The probes launched, spreading out faster than any Imperial ship could travel. Each one carried not just the message, but also detailed scans of the destroyed Imperial fleet, proof of humanity's power. Back in the UN chamber, General Mason was showing classified footage of human weapons tests. A small fighter craft phased through solid matter. Imperial shields proved useless against quantum torpedoes, and entire asteroid fields were reduced to dust by gravity weapons. "We've hidden our true strength for decades," Mason explained. "Every time they spotted one of our ships, it was because we wanted them to. Every scan they made of Earth showed exactly what we wanted them to see. Now it's time to show them what humanity can really do." The British representative raised her hand. "And if they still don't back down, then we'll give them one last warning," Mason said grimly. "After that, we take the fight to their territory." In the Imperial capital, Lord Drake knelt before the Emperor, his pride shattered. "The humans, they're not primitive at all. They've been hiding their true power." The Emperor's 4 eyes narrowed. "Impossible. No species could hide such advancement from us." A junior officer rushed into the throne room, breaking all protocol. "Your Imperial Majesty, we're receiving transmissions, thousands of them, from human probes. They're appearing everywhere, even in secure systems, on every Imperial world, in every ship, and on every command screen." Admiral Reed's warning played. "This is your final chance. Withdraw your forces from all expansion territories. End your policy of forced subjugation. Recognize Earth and humanity as a sovereign power. You have 48 hours to comply." The Emperor watched the message repeat, saw the scans of his destroyed ships, and for the first time in his 300-year reign, felt real fear. How long until our main fleet can reach Earth? He demanded. 3 days at maximum speed, Your Majesty. The Emperor's expression darkened. Then we'll show these humans what happens when you challenge the Empire. Prepare all forces. We go to war. In Earth's orbital command, Admiral Reed watched the Imperial communications light up with activity. He turned to his staff and said quietly, "Send the order to all commands. Operation Thunderstrike is now active. The real war begins." The Imperial fleet appeared near Earth's moon like a swarm of angry wasps. 5,000 warships, their weapons already charged, moved to surround the planet. Leading them was the Emperor's personal dreadnought, a ship 20 miles long that could destroy entire worlds. "Look at their pathetic defenses," the Emperor said, watching Earth through his command viewport. "Those same primitive stations, they think they can fool us twice." Admiral Reed stood on his real command ship, hidden in a quantum pocket just a few miles from the Imperial fleet. He watched as the enemy ships moved exactly where he wanted them. "All ships report ready, sir," his tactical officer said quietly. Reed nodded. "Send the signal. Let's show them what a real human attack looks like." Suddenly, the space around the Imperial fleet lit up like a Christmas tree. 2,000 human warships appeared from quantum space, their advanced weapons already locked on target. They had been waiting there the whole time, completely invisible to Imperial sensors. "Impossible," the Emperor shouted as alarms blared across his ship. Where did they come from? The human attack started with a new weapon the Empire had never seen. Blue energy beams shot out from Earth's defense grid, creating quantum disruption fields. Imperial ships found their shields simply stopping to exist. "All ships, open fire," Reed commanded calmly. What followed wasn't just a battle. It was a complete demonstration of human military superiority. Human ships phased through Imperial weapons fire like it wasn't even there. Their quantum torpedoes ignored shields and armor, destroying Imperial ships from the inside out. The Emperor watched in horror as his fleet was torn apart. "Launch all fighters. Fire the planet killer." Imperial fighters poured out of their carriers by the thousands. The planet killer, the Emperor's most powerful weapon, began charging its main gun. It was supposed to be able to crack a planet in half. Reed actually smiled. Active Point Defense Grid Alpha. Small drones appeared around each human ship, their AI systems running combat programs far beyond Imperial technology. The Imperial fighters, which relied on basic targeting computers, didn't stand a chance. Within minutes, the space around Earth was filled with expanding clouds of fighter debris. The planet killer fired its main weapon, a beam of pure energy that could destroy worlds. It hit Earth's quantum shield and simply disappeared into another dimension, harmlessly redirected by human technology. "Your Majesty," an Imperial officer reported, his voice shaking, "we've lost 40% of the fleet in the first 10 minutes. Our weapons are having no effect." The Emperor stood from his throne, his confidence finally breaking. "Order all ships to retreat. Get us out of here." But retreating wasn't as easy as they hoped. Human ships had positioned quantum disruption fields throughout the battle area. Imperial ships trying to enter hyperspace found themselves stuck in normal space, easy targets for human weapons. "Sir," Reed's tactical officer reported, "the Imperial fleet is in complete chaos. Should we proceed with capture operations?" Reed nodded. "Deploy the boarding drones. Let's add some Imperial ships to our fleet." Small, autonomous boarding craft launched from human ships. They phased through Imperial hull armor like ghosts, their AI systems quickly taking control of enemy vessels. Some Imperial ships began firing on their own fleet, their systems now under human control. The Emperor watched in disbelief as his own ships turned against him. How did they get this powerful without us knowing?" "Your Majesty," his captain said urgently, "we need to leave now. The humans are cutting through our defenses like they don't exist." A human message played across all Imperial frequencies. It was Admiral Reed's voice. Your fleet is defeated. Your weapons are useless. Surrender now, or face complete destruction. The Emperor made a decision that would change galactic history. All remaining ships, full retreat. Get us back to Imperial space. Only 600 Imperial ships managed to escape that day. The rest were either destroyed or captured by human forces. The might of the Imperial fleet, which had conquered 1,000 worlds, had been broken in less than 6 hours. As the surviving Imperial ships fled in terror, Admiral Reed sent a message to Earth Command. Phase 1 complete. The Empire now knows our real strength. Shall we proceed with Phase 2? The response came quickly. Confirmed. Begin Operation Thunderstrike. Take the war to their territory. The Imperial border world of Centauri Prime was considered untouchable. Protected by 300 warships and a network of defense stations, it had never faced a serious threat. Until today. Captain Marcus Wells sat in his stealth ship's command chair, watching the Imperial defenses through quantum sensors. His ship, the Shadow Strike, was one of 50 human vessels that had slipped past the Imperial border undetected. All ships report ready, his AI combat system announced. Imperial defenses remain unaware of our presence. Wells checked the mission clock. Begin Operation Thunderstrike. Remember, we hit hard, we hit fast, and we show no mercy to military targets. But civilian areas are strictly off-limits. The attack began without warning. Human ships appeared inside the Imperial defense network, their quantum drives allowing them to bypass the outer sensors completely. Before the Imperial ships could even raise their shields, precise strikes from human weapons had destroyed their engine cores. In the Imperial Command Center, the base commander watched in horror as his defense fleet exploded ship by ship. Sound the general alarm. Get our remaining ships in the air. But it was already too late. Human AI drones had infected their computer systems, shutting down weapons, shields, and communications. The entire defense network was collapsing from the inside out. Sir, Wells' tactical officer reported, Imperial resistance is minimal. Their remaining ships are trying to surrender. Wells nodded. Accept their surrender. Begin broadcasting our message to the civilian population. Across the planet, screens lit up with the human transmission. People of Centauri Prime, we are the forces of Earth. Your military defenses have been neutralized. We have no quarrel with civilians. Stay in your homes, and no harm will come to you. The news of Centauri Prime's fall reached the Imperial capital within hours. The Emperor himself stormed into the war room, his face dark with rage. How? He demanded. How did they get past our border defenses? Lord Drake, now demoted to a regular commander, studied the tactical displays. They're using some kind of phase technology, Your Majesty. Our sensors can't detect them until they want to be seen. More reports flooded in. 3 more border worlds had fallen in simultaneous attacks. Human forces were striking everywhere at once, and Imperial defenses seemed useless against them. Back on the Shadow Strike, Wells received new orders from Earth Command. Phase 1 of Thunderstrike complete. Begin Phase 2. Push toward the core worlds. The human fleet regrouped, now joined by ships captured from Imperial forces. The AI systems had quickly learned to operate the Imperial vessels, making them even more effective than their original crews. Captain, the AI announced, I've analyzed Imperial communication patterns. They're pulling forces from their subject worlds to defend their core systems. Wells smiled. Just as we predicted. Send word to Admiral Reed. The Empire is falling into our trap. In the Imperial capital, the war room was in chaos. Reports of human attacks came from everywhere. Their stealth technology made it impossible to know where they would strike next. Your Majesty, Lord Drake said, we need to change our strategy. These humans, they're not just more advanced. They're fighting smarter than us. The Emperor slammed his fist on the tactical table. Deploy the reserve fleet. I want every human ship destroyed. Sir, a junior officer interrupted. we're detecting strange energy readings from the captured Imperial ships. The humans, they're making our own technology better than we ever could. On Earth, General Mason briefed the UN Security Council on the war's progress. Operation Thunderstrike is proceeding better than expected. The Empire is falling back on all fronts. Their arrogance made them vulnerable. They never imagined anyone could be so far ahead of them. A council member raised her hand. And the civilian populations of these worlds? Completely unharmed, Mason replied. Our precision strikes and AI targeting systems ensure zero civilian casualties. We're not conquerors, we're liberators. Back in space, Captain Wells prepared his fleet for the next attack. The captured Imperial ships, now enhanced with human technology, formed up alongside his forces. All ships report ready, the AI announced. Next target, the Imperial shipyards at Alpha Centauri. Wells looked at the tactical display, showing hundreds of Imperial ships trying to defend their vital shipyards. They still haven't learned. Send the message one last time. Surrender or be destroyed. The response came back quickly, more Imperial ships opening fire. Very well, Wells said quietly. Show them why you don't start a war with humanity. The Emperor stood in his private command center, watching holographic displays of his crumbling empire. In just 2 weeks, humans had captured 30 major systems and destroyed over half of the Imperial fleet. Deploy the Planet Killer fleet, he commanded, his voice cold with anger. All 6 of them. Target Earth's major colonies. Let's see how brave these humans are when their worlds burn. Lord Drake, standing nearby, felt a chill run down his spine. The Planet Killers were the Empire's most terrible weapons, massive ships that could crack planets apart. Using all 6 at once was unprecedented. On the human battleship Thunder, Admiral Reed received the warning from their deep-cover spies. Planet Killers detected, sir, moving toward our colony worlds. Reed's face showed no concern. Spring the trap. Operation Dark Mirror is now active. As the Planet Killers approached their targets, something strange happened. Their long-range scans showed the colonies completely undefended. No ships, no stations, no defenses at all. This is too easy, the Planet Killer fleet commander said. Where are their forces? The answer came in a flash of quantum energy. Hundreds of human ships appeared, but not where expected. They emerged inside the Planet Killer's shield perimeters, having waited in phase-shifted space for hours. Impossible, the commander shouted. Fire the main weapons. Destroy everything. The Planet Killers fired their world-ending beams. But instead of destroying the colonies, the beams hit invisible barriers, human quantum shields that bent space itself. The destructive energy was reflected back at the Imperial ships. 2 Planet Killers were destroyed by their own weapons. The others found themselves surrounded by human vessels that seemed to ignore the laws of physics. On Earth, General Mason addressed the UN Council. The Empire just played their last card. The Planet Killers were their ultimate weapons. Now watch what happens when you corner a dying empire. The Emperor received the news with stunned silence. 4 Planet Killers destroyed, 2 captured. The weapons that had kept 1,000 worlds in line, gone in less than an hour. But he had one last surprise. Activate the slave world protocols, he ordered. If we can't beat them with our ships, we'll make every conquered world rise against them. Throughout Imperial space, hidden transmitters activated, sending signals to control chips implanted in billions of slaves. But something was wrong. The signals weren't working. A message played across every Imperial channel. It showed Captain Wells, standing with an alien child, one of the Empire's slave species. Did you really think we wouldn't find your control signals? That we wouldn't free your slaves first? The Emperor watched in horror as reports flooded in. The slave species were revolting, but not against the humans. They were attacking Imperial facilities, guided by human AI systems that had freed them from control. Your Majesty, Lord Drake said quietly, We've lost control of the outer systems. The slave species, they're joining the humans. They're giving them access to all our secret bases, our hidden shipyards. Admiral Reed's fleet approached another Imperial stronghold. This time, they were joined by ships from the freed slave worlds, their crews eager to fight their former masters. All ships, prepare for battle. Reed commanded. Remember, precision strikes only. We free worlds, we don't destroy them. The Emperor's next report was even worse. The humans weren't just winning battles, they were winning hearts. Every world they freed joined their cause. Former slaves were telling stories of human kindness, of precision attacks that spared civilians, of advanced medicine freely shared. Send our remaining ships to protect the core worlds, the Emperor ordered. We can't let them reach the capital. But aboard the Thunder, Admiral Reed already knew the Empire's plans. Their quantum AI systems had broken Imperial codes hours ago. They're gathering for a last stand, Reed told his fleet commanders. They still don't understand. This isn't a war of ships and weapons anymore. This is a revolution. Captain Wells, leading the frontline assault, watched as another Imperial world came into view. But this time, something was different. The Imperial ships were powering down their weapons. On his screen, a message flashed. We surrender. Please, help us be free. The Empire's greatest fear had come true. They hadn't just found an enemy they couldn't defeat. They'd found one that showed a better way to rule. The Imperial capital world of Nova Prime glowed like a jewel in space, surrounded by the largest defensive fleet ever assembled. 10,000 ships formed a desperate last line of defense around the Emperor's throne world. Admiral Reed stood on the bridge of the Thunder, looking at tactical displays showing the Imperial capital's defenses. Behind his ship, the combined fleet of humans and liberated alien species prepared for the final battle. They gathered everything they have left. His tactical AI reported, 90% of their remaining military forces are here. Reed nodded. Send the message one last time. Give them a chance to end this without more bloodshed. The Emperor sat on his throne, watching the human fleet approach. The message played on his personal screen. This is your final opportunity to surrender. Your empire is finished. Your slave worlds are free. End this now. Never, the Emperor growled. Launch all ships. Fire everything we have. Let them see the true power of Nova Prime's defenses. The space around the capital erupted in weapon fire. Millions of missiles, energy beams, and plasma torpedoes streaked toward the human fleet. It looked like enough firepower to destroy a dozen worlds. Captain Wells, leading the first attack wave, remained calm. Activate the quantum shield network. Show them what real defense looks like. The massive barrage hit an invisible wall of bent space. Human quantum shields, now linked together by their AI systems, created an impenetrable barrier. Not a single Imperial weapon reached its target. Impossible, Lord Drake shouted, watching from his command ship. Nothing could survive that much firepower. The human counterattack began with a new weapon, quantum disruptors that target specific frequencies of space-time. Imperial shields simply winked out of existence, leaving their ships defenseless. All ships, execute attack pattern Omega, Reed commanded. Remember our priorities. Military targets only. No civilian casualties. The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. Human ships phased through Imperial defenses like ghosts. Their weapons struck with surgical precision, disabling rather than destroying when possible. The liberated alien ships, now equipped with human technology, proved just as effective. Former slaves turned their intimate knowledge of Imperial systems against their old masters. Your Majesty, Lord Drake reported, his voice shaking, we've lost the outer defense ring. Their ships, they're not just beating us, they're making it look easy. The Emperor stood from his throne, real fear showing in his eyes for the first time. Launch the Royal Guard. Activate the planetary shield. They must not reach the surface. But human forces had planned for everything. Quantum torpedoes phased through the planetary shield as if it wasn't there. The Royal Guard's elite ships, the finest in the Empire, found themselves facing enemies they couldn't even hit. "Sir," Wells reported to Admiral Reed, "their defenses are collapsing. We have a clear path to the palace." Reed looked at his tactical display. The Imperial fleet was in chaos, their formations broken, their best weapons useless. "Begin landing operations. Let's end this." Human dropships, carrying both human and alien troops, descended through the atmosphere. The Imperial Palace's defenses, considered impregnable for 1,000 years, fell in minutes to quantum-phased commandos. The Emperor watched in disbelief as human forces methodically took control of his capital. Every security measure, every hidden weapon, every last-ditch defense, nothing worked against them. "How?" he demanded as human troops approached his throne room. "How did you become so powerful without us knowing?" The doors opened, and Admiral Reed walked in personally, flanked by representatives of the freed alien worlds. "Because you were too arrogant to look closely, too convinced of your own superiority to see the truth." Lord Drake, watching from his crippled flagship, made the last transmission of the war. "All Imperial forces, stand down. The capital has fallen. The war is over." Throughout Imperial space, ships powered down their weapons. On 1,000 worlds, Imperial governors surrendered to their former slaves. The mighty Galactic Empire, which had ruled for 10,000 years, had fallen in less than a month. Admiral Reed looked at the Emperor, now under guard. "We warned you to run. Now let us show you a better way to govern a galaxy." 1 month after the fall of Nova Prime, representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered in Earth's new Galactic Assembly building. The massive structure, built with advanced human technology, floated in orbit as a symbol of the new era. Admiral Reed stood at the main podium, facing delegates from both former Imperial worlds and freed slave species. Behind him, the Earth shone brilliantly against the backdrop of space. "Today marks the beginning of the Galactic Federation of Free Worlds," he announced, his voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. "The age of empire is over. The age of freedom begins." In a specially designed holding cell, the former emperor watched the proceedings on a quantum screen. Lord Drake stood nearby, now serving as a witness in the war crimes trials. "Look at them," the emperor said bitterly. "They defeated us in weeks, and now they're giving away our power." "No," Drake replied, finally understanding. "They're showing us what real power looks like." On the assembly floor, General Mason presented the Federation's founding principles. "Every world has the right to self-governance. No species shall enslave another. Technology and medicine will be shared freely, and Earth's quantum defense grid will protect all member worlds." Captain Wells, now commanding the Federation's peacekeeping fleet, received reports from across the galaxy. Former Imperial worlds were choosing their own leaders. Freed slaves were returning home to rebuild, and human technology was transforming lives everywhere. Medical report from Sector 7, his AI announced. "Human healing pods have cured the plague on 3 former slave worlds. Population recovery exceeding expectations." In the Imperial capital, now renamed Liberty Prime, human engineers worked alongside alien technicians. They were dismantling the old control systems and installing quantum communication networks that would connect the galaxy like never before. "The transition is proceeding faster than expected," Admiral Reed told the assembly. "Thanks to our AI systems, we've already removed 90% of the Empire's slave control implants. Everyone will be free within the month." The former slave species proved to be the Federation's strongest supporters. Their representatives spoke of human kindness, of precision attacks that spared civilians, of advanced medicine freely shared, and of a new future where all species worked together. Lord Drake, watching their testimony, turned to the Emperor. "We could have been like them. We had the power to help others, but we chose to dominate instead. And look where their kindness has got them," the Emperor replied. "They rule the galaxy now." "No," came Admiral Reed's voice as he entered the cell. "We don't rule anything. We protect. We help. We unite. That's what real civilization looks like." In Earth's quantum laboratories, human scientists worked with alien researchers, sharing knowledge and making new discoveries. The combined wisdom of 1,000 species was creating technologies that even humanity had never imagined. Latest research results, Mason's AI reported. Combined human-alien technology has increased quantum efficiency by 300%. New medical breakthroughs in cellular regeneration. FTL travel speed doubled. The Assembly's final act was to establish the Galactic Defense Force, a combined fleet of human and alien ships, all equipped with Earth's advanced technology. Their mission was not to conquer or control, but to protect and preserve peace. Captain Wells, leading the first joint patrol, looked at his crew, humans and former slave species working together. "Send the message to all ships," he ordered. "The Free Federation is now active. We are all one people." The message spread across the galaxy, reaching every world that had once lived in fear of the Empire. But it wasn't just words. It was backed by actions. Human ships brought food to hungry worlds. Medical ships cured diseases that had plagued species for generations. Construction crews helped rebuild devastated cities. Admiral Reed made the final entry in his war log. "The Empire lost because they never understood real power. They thought it meant making others serve you. We showed them it means helping others stand with you." As the new Federation flag, a symbol of unity designed by both humans and aliens, raised over Liberty Prime, the galaxy learned the lesson that would shape its future. True strength isn't about how well you can fight a war. It's about how well you can build a peace. And somewhere in the vast reaches of space, other empires heard the story of how humanity had changed the galaxy, and they learned a simple truth. Sometimes, when someone warns you to run, you really should listen.